Hi traders, and welcome to today's ACY Securities Forex Market Analysis. My name is Duncan Cooper and I will be your host. Today we will focus on the dollar index in the Australian dollar to the US dollar. Hi traders, just at forexfactory.com. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Aussie to the US dollar, so I just want to look at the news items that could affect that pair this week. Now it's relatively light news. Getting into tomorrow, these are Queensland time, my time. We have the RBA Lowe speaking, the governor of the RBA. So that's 8:15 AM. He could say something that could move the market depending on what he's talking about. Just be aware of that. So it's Wednesday 8:15 AM. Getting into early Thursday morning 1 AM. We've got the JOLTS job openings for the US. And then getting into Thursday 11:30 PM. We've got the US CPI, core CPI. Getting into Friday 8:15 AM again. RBA Governor Lowe speaking again, and then early into Saturday morning we've got the US prelim UOM consumer sentiment. So those are the things that could move the Aussie to the US dollar, so be aware of those things. And I'm just noting there we do have a daylight saving time shift on the weekend. That doesn't affect the market, but always worth noting what time the market's going to reopen next week, a little bit earlier. Alright, let's get to the charts. First up, I just want to look at the dollar index, and this is the monthly look, and we've been having a very strong move up on the dollar index. That really hasn't been affecting the Aussie too much because the Aussie's been moving up because gold prices have been going up. But it is worth noting what the dollar index is doing, because if this really considerably keeps moving up strongly, it will have some effect on the Aussie US dollar. So monthly look here, we're moving above 98.12 resistance, heading towards the next level at 100.39. So the 100 level, I'm sure we might get a little bit of a jolt there, so keep your eye on what's happening there. So monthly's up, the weekly's up too. Yeah, last week we had a very clear break above 98.12, and you know, euro dollar, which is at least 50% makeup of the dollar index, is very negative, and this is why we get having a very strong move up. Alright, so monthly, weekly up, and the day is just going to be telling you the same thing. So just move back one time frame. Really now, any pullback really needs to hold above 98.12 to keep the trend in play, and be aware that we're probably heading towards 100 approximate area. Okay, so just monitor that. Of course, the euro and the pound have been moving heavily down. That's helping this move heavily up. If those two pairs start to turn around strongly with the volatility of the market, then we might see this pullback. But overall, monitor the dollar index for, in general terms, a trend of the US dollar, and this is moving up, so generally pairs to the US dollar should be showing some weakness. Alright, let's get to the Aussie. Now with that sentiment in mind, what we have been seeing is quite a strong Aussie US dollar. And if you're looking at the lower time frames like the daily, I think we've had 7 straight days up. So then you might think, okay, quite clearly the trend is long-term up at the moment, 7 days straight up. But you really get your long-term trends for the monthly. So here we are on the monthly, and what I'm seeing on the monthly is trend's not changed in terms of the monthly chart. We've got lower tops, lower bottoms. Yes, we're having a rally up here. We've been having quite a good rally from 69.91 monthly support. And interestingly enough, if you're looking at your monthly chart, week in, week out, 74.14 here, an old monthly top. We went through there, by about 10-15 pips maybe. Let me just double check the height of that. Went through to 72.37. So I went through around about 23 pips above this monthly top here. However, it's now trading at 73.12. So it's pulled back over 100 pips in one day. So clearly the sellers were sitting at monthly resistance or above, and they're starting to push price action down. So maybe we're already seeing coming in the top here at monthly resistance. Okay, MACD's down, so the monthly picture having a rally, but structurally the trend remains down. To the weekly, let's put in support and resistance. Resistance, there's a little where I was using this top here. It's a little bit tight with two lines together, 74.26. and went about 11 pips above that yesterday. 74.26, and support would be this top that we moved through last week, 73.14. So things can get tricky when the trends don't match. Monthly's down, weekly's up, so which way do we trade? Can be very difficult. Alright, and just to put things in perspective, before we had this lovely move down here, this was putting in a lower top on the monthly chart, but the weekly trend was up. So at the moment I've got the weekly trend up, but as I was just suggesting, maybe we've just hit the level where the monthly chart might put in another lower top. So we're failing at 74.26 weekly resistance up here, but the trend is up on the weekly chart. We've moved above the last lower top, 73.14, and we're just testing that level at the moment. So moved above that level last week, turned the weekly trend to up. We've hit a very strong level of monthly weekly resistance, and you'll find when we get to the day chart that we're rejecting that level. So MACD's up, that's just confirming that uptrend that we've been having on the weekly, and yes, we're putting in a higher top here. Alright, so let's move to the day chart. So we've ascertained that the weekly chart trend is up, we've got our support and resistance in, and then to the daily. Alright, so the day trend, as I was saying, we've had about 7 straight days up. We've got higher tops and bottoms here, heading up to monthly weekly resistance, and hopefully you can see they've got a clear rejection candle. So that's the thing that's really screaming out to me. Even though the trends are up on the weekly and the daily, we're clearly rejecting a very higher time frame level of resistance, where we could be putting in the next lower top on the monthly chart. So we do have higher tops and bottoms, high bottom through the last top to a higher top. MACD's up. Let's just put in support and resistance. There's a resistance area here that we tagged yesterday, 74.31. And I've got a bird outside my window squawking, apologies for that, you can hear it. And then day support would be down here at 72.84. Quite a nice sunny day here today, so the birds are enjoying themselves outside. Alright, so that's the daily levels of support and resistance. So obviously we failed at 3 levels of resistance up here yesterday. Clear rejection candle. Now if you want to be a long-term position trader, one way of trading this pair would be just to trade the break of the reversal candle, stop above the high, and then you'd be holding that position for the long term to come down and trade down over many weeks down to test monthly support at 69.91, and maybe you get a break of that, but that's quite a large candle. So, and we don't know if overall the weekly trend and the day trend structure is going to change. So how do we look to engage on this pair? You could be a buyer or a seller. You could have the frame of mind that this is a complete failure up here, or you could have the frame of mind that this is just a very heavy selling day back to weekly support. Alright, so the way I would be looking at this is critically for the buyers, this weekly top here, let's change the weekly trend to up, that has to hold at 73.14. Currently we're trading at 73.16. About 15 minutes ago we're more like 73.11.12. So the market's just playing with that level. Is it going to hold for a move back up to retest this area, or are we going to see today that we start to drift below? Okay, so that's the thing that's going to, the line in the sand between the buyers and the sellers is 73.14. Can the buyers hold that level and keep the uptrend in play? So what I'd be looking for, and in my mind at the moment, I'm more on the sell side now because of where it's failed at. And in fact, I just want to go back to the day chart once more, just to put in play another technical thing that I saw. Drawing a fib from that monthly top down to that monthly low. Another critical thing in that area of resistance there is the 79% level at 74.29. So for me, I'm thinking that we've retraced 79%. That's the critical area of a failure, and then we're going to be moving down the range long term. And if we break support, we could be targeting down at the 127 extension, if that's the new downtrend forming. So there's a couple of critical things happening here. We are failing at the 79% level as well as good resistance, so time will tell. Of course, we can move through over the next few days well beyond that level, because this pair, as I was saying before, the dollar index has been moving up, so pairs to the US dollar generally move down, but this has been going up strongly for 7 days on the back of higher gold and oil prices. So if they continually go up, gold yesterday touched 2,000, so if it moves through 2,000 and keeps plodding along, keeps moving up, this is going to put some upward pressure still on this pair, even if the US dollar index is moving up. So bear that in mind. But a very heavy selling day yesterday, so I'm thinking that maybe the upward move is finished, but price really needs to move below 73.14 for me to get excited about them becoming a seller. So to the 4-hour chart, let's get my drawing tool. So I can soon change my mind to become a buyer. I just have to see structurally a good enough reason. So here at the moment, if we look at structurally on the 4-hour chart, some negative things that I'm seeing at the moment is we have traded below the last higher bottom just. Of course, this could be a double bottom, false break, but the MACD has crossed down, so that's a little bit against the overall upward move. So structurally, I would like to see on the 4-hour chart now, because it's turned to down, move up. Can it then pull back and put in another bottom that's slightly higher? So a little higher bottom just above 73.14 would be great. If that starts to happen, then for me that turns the pair back to the buyer side, and we could then well see a move back up to challenge this area of resistance. Okay, so that's the first scenario. If you want to be a buyer, that's what I'd be looking for. Selling wise, well, this could structurally form to be a buy. Let's get my drawing tool, and then it comes up to this area. If this area holds on a move back up, then I would be looking in this area as it starts to move back below 74.14 for an opportunity to sell, to trade down for a retest of 73.14 and see whether that level could then break for a move down that way. Okay, so that's scenario number 2. And then scenario number 3 is that we don't get any upward move at all. So over the next 24 hours we shift through 73.14. We might get support at 72.84 or break below that a little bit. But what I'd like to see then is that at some point over the next 24 to 48 hours we come back up and we retest weekly support resistance. If we break below it, then it's no longer support. We should be looking for it to become resistance. So look for 73.14 area to become resistance, and then I'd look to a lower time frame to look for an opportunity to sell for a move down the range once more. Okay, so 73.14 is the line in the sand. Does it hold? Are the buyers going to come in there, hold it, and move it all the way back up to challenge these resistance levels? 74.14 monthly resistance, 74.26 weekly resistance, and can it move through? I'm not so sure it can, because that was a very clear fail yesterday. We had a very strong gain for half the day, and then the other half of the day we clearly sold off. So to me, if we go back to the day chart, a very clear rejection candle. That's a massive rejection candle. Alright, that's that size of that candle relative to normal trading days on the Aussies, probably twice as long. So it's a very clear signal that maybe, yes, it's putting in a top. Alright, so watch 73.14. If it holds a support, the buyers are in control. If it doesn't hold a support, then the sellers are in control. So over the next 24 to 48 hours, we should hopefully get a clear view of which way this pair is moving. Alright, so be careful out there. It's very volatile. With that being said, that's my analysis for today. Have a great trading week, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Now, if you're interested in improving your trading, why not join me in my free beginner webinar series? You can register by using the link in the description below. All those that attend the webinars get full access to my own MT4 chart layouts and indicators. Okay traders, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.